Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the tier list. We have another cracking episode set for you today. I'm joined today by Collins.
How you doing, folks?
Neil.
Hello.
Ritten.
Sup.
And Paddy.
Oh.
Ritten, you sounded very enthusiastic there. Considering this is your choice. Today we're looking at TV protagonists. No comedy, because we did that a couple of weeks ago, let's be honest. And
that's why it's specifically drama, TV protagonists.
Yeah. First of all, though, how is everyone?
Feeling better after yesterday.
I know, the championship was just brilliant yesterday. I mean, Nottingham Forest, I've never seen a team do so horrific. There could not have been anything better on TV last night.
Sorry for Wigan.
Now, people
I hope they win their appeal.
People run about some trophy lift, but the best moment of yesterday was obviously Naby Keita scoring that screamer. That's all that mattered to me.
And if you listen to our Off the Cut podcast, you'll know that we said it from day one that Naby Keita is the greatest player in the world.
That podcast was so well timed. Like, Firmino scores, Keita scores, Wijnaldum scores. We talked about all of them like in depth.
Yeah, I'd also like to say that definitely my opinion of John Joe Shelby was that he's a great player, and he didn't score 2 goals immediately after I slagged them off.
And about several of the other players you slagged off at that.
Yeah, Lisa Mousset scored immediately after I put him in bottom tier. Joe Linton scored immediately after I put him in bottom tier. But Callum Wilson has continued to be rubbish, so I feel vindicated.
But what we haven't been doing is being sometimes not reading out the names of the tiers before we start.
Yeah,
so we should do that first because there's people who listen on audio only.
So we've got as our bottom tier, we've got Wouldn't Mind Their Fictional Death. Then we have Poor, Likeable, Incredible, and Genius as the 5 tiers today.
That was excellent.
Since it was my episode, I guess I'll kick things off.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the 13th Doctor, or, current Doctor Who. I've only watched a couple of the episodes of the newest Doctor, and honestly, it was quite hard to get through. I stopped watching Doctor Who like a good few years ago. I think Peter Capaldi was playing the part at that time. Since then, they've had this new writer come in called Chibnall, I think, who previously did Broadchurch, which I've heard is a very good show. But clearly, he didn't take that across to Doctor Who. It's completely tanked in the ratings. With it now, the last series being the lowest ever watched series since the reboot in 2005. Jodie Whittaker, when she first came in for series 11, it actually got joint record high viewership, second highest for a series. But the latest series, everyone kind of tuned out. For me, the character lacks the witty humor and charm that it had in its previous decade plus of the show being on air. I kind of found it a bit cringy. I don't think it's the actor's fault. I think it's more to do with the writing. And obviously everyone was a bit surprised that the Doctor was suddenly a woman. There's no issue with that. I just think that the writing has been very poor, and the new setup kind of doesn't work, and it makes the Doctor kind of a poor character right now. Does anyone else have any kind of different opinions? Or
I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with Jodie Whittaker's performance as the Doctor.
No,
the Doctor is still a pretty good character, I think. I mean, you've got to take into account that it's a time-traveling alien that every time dies regenerates into a different person. It's a fantastic character. The writing's just awful.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think the fault is at all placed on Jodie Whittaker's shoulders.
I also think it's rather harsh to single it out as Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor. It's still the Doctor.
No, but I'm saying that's the current version is being played by. I'm not saying. I also said it wasn't like her fault. I thought it was more the writing. To be fair,
Yeah.
so it's, I'm not blaming Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
I never said that.
Yeah,
Alright.
I don't think she's doing that bad a job, but when you compare it to like a David Tennant or a Matt Smith,
Exactly.
they're far more like quirkier and
That's-
they bring a bit more charisma and quirkiness to the role. But she's not terrible.
No, that's another thing I actually meant to say, but I kind of lost track of what I was saying at first. Is when you compare it to the older previous versions with Matt Smith, David Tennant, even Peter Capaldi, I quite liked his version. I thought it was quite different, but also funny and a bit darker, but very interesting at the same time.
I mean,
I
the
just
thing
don't
is,
lives up
your
to
show's
that.
gone down a bit when you're casting Bradley Walsh as your second-hand man.
Hey,
Yeah.
don't
Don't get
diss
me wrong,
Bradley Walsh.
I like Bradley Walsh, but
Same.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Did you not? I'm sorry. Do you not like the storyline of Bradley Walsh trying to connect to his black step grandson?
Dearie me.
the storylines for the last series have been incredibly well criticized, with the timeless child being one of the most disappointing payoffs, with it end up being the Doctor after all. A lot of people weren't happy about that at all, and the ratings for it on IMDb are not great. If you go episode by episode, it really doesn't. You can see why the viewership has really dropped. I mean, the ratings for the shows, it's typically like its average rating is an 8.6 going across the series as a whole. But then if you look at the latest season, I think only like 1 or 2 episodes get equal to or above a 7 rating, which is by far the worst out of all
Right.
of them.
Right, but is that the character or is that the show and its plot lines? Because remember, we're talking about the characters.
Yeah. Well, okay, it's a bit of both, because the writing's awful, so the storylines are awful, so that the character looks awful, and it was all about the Doctor after all. And yeah, they need to get rid of Chibnall, and I've seen a lot of it online. People really don't like that guy and what he's done and changed about the show. And again, not really Jodie Whittaker's fault, but at the same time, I don't think she really lives up to the standards set by the previous actors in the role, and
No
the kind of
offense.
charisma.
No offense, Ritson, but they said the exact same thing about Matt Smith
Oh,
and Peter Capaldi.
are we?
You can't.
Well, I think a lot of them had a lot of love. Matt Smith had a lot of love.
No, he did not. The
I-
moment, I'm sorry, but after David Tennant got to do the most emotional Doctor Who farewell in the entire history of the show by going round to every character he ever had a bit of history with and saying goodbye to them, and then saying, "Oh no, I don't really want to die." Everyone hated Matt Smith when he first came in because he wasn't David Tennant.
I don't even think they. I don't think.
No,
they
That's
just-
I
too.
remember.
Neil wants to say something.
I think that's just too far to say. It's like, if there was some initial misgiving about Matt Smith, it didn't take long before it was all erased. And
Yeah.
he was great. The Matt Smith era was awesome.
Yeah,
That's my
it's-
favorite era.
And think about how difficult a job he had to do following David. How often do you see someone follow someone who was amazing and then just not live up to that expectation?
yeah.
Like Sir Alex Ferguson and David Moyes. Clear
Yeah.
example. You know what I mean?
True.
I know it's a stupid point. You know what I mean, though.
David
but-
Moyes broke so many records, I'll have you know.
Just quickly,
None of them good.
do we think that they haven't lived up to it because, in a sense, we've grown up? Because when we were growing up, our doctors were David Tennant and Matt Smith. Like I really stopped watching Doctor Who at Capaldi because it didn't
Same.
really vest an
think-
interest with me. But
I-
the 13th Doctor hasn't done much, or the writing rather hasn't done much to get me back into it.
No,
Right.
yeah, you're right.
I think I watched, sorry, Written, but I watched
Sorry.
one episode, which was the Rosa Parks episode.
That's the best one, I think.
And
Isn't it?
I thought it was pretty good, but it didn't hook me onto it. So is that...
I don't think that's an episode that's designed to hook you onto it, though. That's an episode that's meant to be teaching you an important lesson about history, which is sort of the main issue of the fact they can do a really good one-off episode, and they had this problem with Moffat previously when he was writing for Capaldi and Matt Smith. Their overarching plots always just centered back down to the Doctor's the best person in the universe. And when Moffat left, all the fans were thinking, "Oh, finally, we're not going to get that. He'll go back to the Doctor who's just traveling around and he'll stop the villains while not being so amazingly important." And then, like you said, oh, okay, it all comes down to the Doctor again. And so that's one of the major issues that people have with the show. I think we should probably go to a vote because we're talking about this a lot now.
Yeah, I think we need to do a podcast in the future just about David Tennant's Doctor. We'll talk about
Probably
this.
could
Just
talk
David
about it for that
Tennant.
long. No, you could do a podcast on Doctor.
You could do
Who,
a
I
tier
think,
list
yeah.
of Doctor Who's.
You could do that actually.
Doctor
Yeah.
Who monsters.
I mean, I wouldn't be very
Oh.
good at that. I wouldn't have much knowledge, but that would be a decent idea.
Yeah.
All right.
I still think the character's perfectly likable because at the end of the day, it's the Doctor, and just because it's now Jodie Whittaker, Jodie's Doctor, doesn't mean that you don't have all the memories of all the other Doctors. It's still
but
the entirety of the Doctor.
no. But here's the thing: my character specifically said the 13th Doctor, not
13th
Doctor Who.
Doctor is still the Doctor.
No, it's a different version though. It's a different. The character changes.
You know what he
I-
means.
you know what,
We're
I would-
being
You're trying to
pedantic
get me
here.
on a
would gi-
technicality.
Ritson, I would give you that if it wasn't for the fact that Peter Capaldi's Doctor interacts with people that Matt's Doctor interacted with, and they all talk, and he has the same memories. Jodie Whittaker's Doctor has all of the memories that all the other Doctors went through. Her character is still
Yeah, but we know all this, but it's being pedantic. We know what
It's
he
not being
means.
pedantic. It's
You
part
know
of
what
my
he
basis
means.
of what I think the Doctor
You
is.
are being pedantic.
You know what he means. We're talking about Jodie Whittaker's betrayal.
Christopher Eccleston is a completely different character from Jodie Whittaker's version. Let's be honest.
We're talking about Jodie Whittaker's betrayal of the Doctor, no one else's betrayal.
Because if this was a problem, Collins, you should have brought it up originally when I said the 13th Doctor, not just Doctor Who. If we're going on
I don't
Doctor
think
Who
it's a
overall,
problem. I'm just simply giving you what my reasoning for where I'm putting them is.
This is the very first one.
thing is kind of going against the actual character I'm suggesting, and you're changing that character to be the entire Doctor
You know
Who,
what?
not just
He
Right.
said likable. If
We
he
need-
said likable, let's just give him likable.
disgrace.
We
Absolute
need
disgrace.
Oh no,
No,
right?
but-
No, because if it wasn't for Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, it would be an incredible.
Okay,
I would,
somebody else
yeah.
vote.
Go on,
Neil-
Michael.
We'll be arguing forever.
I think it's likable as well. I think it's not all her fault that this has happened. It's probably actually minimal fault, but she's done a job. And when I've seen her, she's all right.
Paddy.
Yeah, I was cross between poor and likable. I was leaning more towards likable because a lot of the reasons that would make her poor are not even her fault. So I think to be the first woman Doctor, that's a lot of pressure and a lot. So I think she's done an all right job of that. So I'd say likable.
Okay, well, I was gonna put it in. I was gonna put it in. Wouldn't mind their fictional death.
Oh,
Not
no.
because of
Neil.
not because.
What's Neil's vote? Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I would have asked. Don't worry. Is
Oh.
Neil here?
I am here.
Okay, it's just you said about the internet.
I would have put her in poor.
Ooh.
Likable wins. Oh, no,
Fair
I
enough.
voted.
Okay, Collins, you had a lot to say about that. I think you should go next.
Did Paddy vote?
Yeah,
Yeah, I said likable.
Oh, fair. All right then. I think with my first choice then, I'm gonna go over to a TV show that none of you guys have watched called Dawson's Creek. Am I right in saying that?
I've watched highlights.
Watch highlights.
That's it.
Find any?
Well, it was difficult. It was a difficult research job for this one. Probably the hardest out of them all.
It's a massive show in America, isn't it?
It is, and it's a nice show about the people growing up, and it's completely ruined by its protagonist, Dawson Leary, who is the biggest whiny person in the world. Like, if you think I'm bad, lads, just try watching this show. Moans and whines about everything. He wants to be a filmmaker, filmmaker, and so expects all of his life to be a Spielberg-esque experience, but he never gets it, and he then has to go at other people because he doesn't get that. This show also has one of the worst deaths I've ever seen, of which a man is driving, Dawson Leary's dad. Lad, he's driving, he drops his ice cream that he was having, so he reaches down to grab it and crashes his car. That's how they killed off the main character's dad.
Killed by Mr. Whippy.
Someone likes his ice cream.
Death by Mr. Whippy, that was on his gravestone.
Mm-hmm.
I literally have no say this. The only thing I know about Dawson Leary is the memes, and apparently that's quite accurate of just him having a whinge.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
well, that's the thing. I do like James Van Der Beek. He does a great job in Don't Trust the B Word in Apartment 23, where he plays as himself, but just like like celebrity arrogant self. Yeah, Paddy, I interrupt you there. If you want to go.
Oh yeah, well, I was just going to say, I mean, I didn't get a lot from the highlights that I showed. I didn't see much of the whininess in the highlights because I literally watched like 10 minutes. To me, he seemed quite a very naive, very stupid, very ignorant to what was going on around him. But in a way that was kind of endearing to me. He seemed kind of innocent. But if he was whining all the time, I imagine that would do my head in. So
yeah.
It's more your opinion on this one, Holmes.
I'd also like to say that one of the major points of the show is, can men and women be friends? And then they had the men and women get together. So no, apparently, according to the show. Anyone else got an opinion?
He's a meme.
Yeah, I meant the two people who haven't spoken, Mangan.
I just thought it was quite funny how when you type in Dawson Leary on Google, the first search result is Dawson Leary annoying, and that kind of all I need to know about the character.
Yep.
And that's my entire input.
I saw that Vice had an article that called him, what is it? The stereotypical nice guy. That is not a favourable comparison at all, is it? A nice guy.
No, it is not.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's an opinion that I've seen a lot online about him. Is that he's nice, but he thinks that's enough, and it's not. You bland, whiny so-and-so. Wouldn't mind their fictional death.
I mean, your vote is pretty much the only one that counts.
Yeah, I was literally.
But I'm happy
who wants
to
to go next then?
You know what? I'm gonna go next. We've had a couple of arguments about this. I'm gonna go with a relatively new main protagonist. I'm gonna go with Din Djarin, otherwise known as the Mandalorian. I love this show. I've been proper hooked on it since I've seen it. It is got everything for me. I'm a massive Star Wars fan, and this is probably the most excited I've been about a Star Wars project in ages, and that does include the movies. The character is like battle tested. He's a total bad man. I was going to say something else then. He doesn't really care until he meets the child, which is otherwise known as Baby Yoda. But it's a proper like action-packed show, and he deals with it really well. I am probably gonna, if I had to make an argument, I'd probably put him in Incredible, because so far there's only been one season of it, and it's very early days, but from what I've seen so far, he's been amazing.
Well, considering he never takes his helmet off, he's got quite like an aura about him.
That's the thing with Mandalorians. They're never meant to take the helmet off. It's like a creed. Like, a lot of people wouldn't know, but I think the show does a good job in explaining it.
And without facial expressions, he carries himself in this way that's like, as I said, he's got like an aura about him, and just he is a bit of a badass, as you said.
Yeah, he's it's an incredible show. That Prison Break episode alone is just the only one that you ever need to watch. It's the equivalent of the Big Show's cruise episode, in my opinion. It's hangs out amongst all the episodes as the best one.
So it's not very good.
Yeah, but yeah, you can't put him in genius because there's not really a character there yet. He's just a mercenary. I mean, you're right. Yeah, I'd put him incredible because he's engaging, and I do want to know more about him and all that. But compared to some of the characters that are going to be put in genius, I feel, I mean, he's not up there yet. There's just not enough about.
Yeah, like I said, it's very early days for that sort of thing. Like, as a show, it's coming back in October, and I literally cannot wait for it. Like, I've seen some of the casting selections for it, and who's going to be playing everyone. And I think The Mandalorian will be one of the best Star Wars projects of the past couple of decades.
Well, you used the right word there, Colin's engaging. Like, I really do want to know more about him. Like, he's not even got a face, and I'm hooked by him. Like, he just does that to
episode.
Huh?
They show his face in the last episode.
But they show it to just a robot, so he doesn't reveal his face to others.
Yeah, I know, but with the way that Paddy says it, you'd think.
Yeah, I haven't seen it all.
I haven't seen it all.
No, I haven't seen it all. I've
watched. Pretend I never said that to Paddy.
Yeah,
moving on, Richardson. What's your opinion?
Well, I mean, there's not much more to add because again, it's only been one season, and I feel like you were saying about putting him in Incredible. You can't really put him in Genius now, but I feel like maybe I don't know how many seasons they've got planned for this, but maybe in a few years they've done a few more seasons. Maybe then, depending on how the show goes and how his character develops, we can come back and maybe move him up to Genius, or if it goes horribly wrong, we put him down. But this is definitely a show I think I'm going to binge watch completely soon, because I've actually just watched the sequel trilogy in the last week or two, which wasn't great. But anyway, I'm excited to watch all of this, and I'd probably, if I had to vote on it, probably agree with what you've said and put him in Incredible.
Neil?
I personally think the character, I mean, quite rightly, has a degree of Boba Fett syndrome, which is kind of obvious considering his background, really, isn't it? But he's cool, isn't he? He's a very cool character, but also one that lacks substance. That's what I'd say. A lot like the show, The Mandalorian. Very cool, but lacks a lot of substance and is a lot of filler. Is the character anything more than cool? Does he have any, substance to him? I doubt that,
Yeah, but I think that's why none of us want to put him in Genius.
And
fair enough. I mean, the Star Wars universe lately has a history of cool characters with no substance. I don't really see what exactly puts Mando in a different category than that. And I quite like the show, but I do think a lot of it is filler, and a lot of it is just kind of a bit meaningless and flashy and not much else. A lot like the character.
I mean, it's funny that you mentioned Boba Fett, because he's been cast to be played in the second season. And funny thing, the guy who played Jango Fett in episode 2 is going to be playing Boba in this season, which I think is quite cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely got the looks for it.
Yeah, but yeah, I think, like I said, I'd love to put this in Genius, but it's been one season. We don't know how it's going to turn out. If it keeps on going and it keeps on building the Mandalorian as a character, we've started seeing almost embers of him trying to deal with the fact that he's sort of like a father figure now, as opposed to always being the lone wolf. If it keeps building on that, then I think if we ever did something like this again, I'd be putting him in Genius.
All right then. So I think we know that the vote's mostly gone incredible. Neil, what is your official vote?
Poor. I would put. Honestly, I just have no faith that Disney would actually make the character anything of substance. I just.
Oh, fair.
To be fair, not having faith in Disney after what they did with the sequel trilogy is a very valid opinion. Fair enough.
Yeah, true. You can't trust J.J. Abrams to finish a trilogy.
And again, if you guys want a podcast, not of these guys, just of me complaining about the new Star Wars trilogy, then just put in a comment below.
On your own.
No. That'll be 2 hours
an off
long.
the cuff episode.
Yeah, that is 2 hours long in itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, who we got next? Neil, Paddy, which one wants to go first?
It didn't even finish the vote.
We all said incredible except for Neil.
We all said incredible except.
I mean, I did, but I was going to say incredible.
There you
go. So should I go?
Yeah, go
ahead, mate.
Who should I start with? How about PC David Budd from Bodyguard? It's a very interesting one, this, because I watched it quite recently. And I'm a big fan of Jed Mercurio shows like this and Line of Duty. But the thing about those shows is more that the mystery kind of supersedes the character development. You know, like the characters are kind of blank slates where the events that happen off screen are the more interesting parts. But in Bodyguard, it was slightly different. They actually managed to create a pretty compelling protagonist, like someone with actually a bit of depth, like as displayed through his post-traumatic stress disorder. How that's, you know, he has recurring nightmares, it ruined his relationship with his wife, it has him separated from his kids, and like his mental issues actually really define his actions throughout the show, which I think makes him a very, very interesting protagonist.
I just want to say that the opening scene of that show is incredible. It like hooks you in instantly. Like the intenseness of that opening scene is incredible, and I love his just how he acts in that situation. He's not the cool, calm, collected character you'd think he'd be. Like he's panicked himself, but even though he's been to wars and that, he's a stern character that with not a lot of emotion. Being able to see the fear of him in that opening scene really sets the tone.
My favorite part about The Bodyguard is when all the Americans thought that incest was happening.
What?
What?
Do you not hear that with David Budd?
No.
What?
Oh no, because they always call the character Mom. Yeah, we obviously understand what they mean is Mom.
Oh my god!
They thought he was saying Mum.
Oh my god!
So Twitter explodes when they make out.
There's that American education system kicking in again.
Yeah, Twitter exploded when they made out with all the characters going, with all the tweets coming out with like, oh my god, I thought they were related. Did not expect this to happen, which was just really funny. And that alone makes him a top tier character for me.
Oh wow. No, I like Richard Madden as well. The guy who plays him, obviously from Game of Thrones. I think he's a very good actor, and he does a good job here as well.
There was after he played The Bodyguard, there was rumors going about him replacing Daniel Craig as James Bond, which kind of says a lot about the fit that he made in the show.
You could see it. You could see it.
I can see that.
Yeah, you could definitely see it.
Does anyone else have anything to say about this, or is this going to be like a straightforward one?
I don't think it's going to be straightforward. But I think he's definitely one of the better characters on the list.
Yeah, go on. Shall we vote then?
Someone else go first. I need time to think.
Neil, it was your suggestion. Let's see where you'd put him.
I was going to put him in Incredible because I think, you know, he's got all of those attributes, like I said, that make him a very compelling protagonist. But Bodyguard is still a show that rests on the outside events. It's still a show that puts the primacy on the mystery of events that are surrounding. Bud is an absolute fantastic foil for that mystery, but I wouldn't quite put him in genius because I don't think he has the level of complexity required to call him a genius. But he is absolutely stellar in the role that the show casts him in, so he deserves to be an incredible.
Collins?
Yeah, I'd agree with incredible. Like I said, he tricked Americans into thinking that incest was happening on TV.
Okay, is that what we look for?
That's Colin's only reasoning.
Obviously, I do also agree with Neil's points. He's a great character, and it's interesting to watch him on TV.
Yeah, personally, I don't think I've seen enough of the show to really have a sway in the voting, but from what I've seen, he is really good.
I'd probably just agree with what you just said there, to be honest.
And Paddy?
Yeah, I was torn between Genius and Incredible, but even if I voted Genius, he would end up being Incredible anyway, so let's just leave it at that.
All right, and on that note, Paddy, who you got?
Why don't we talk about another woman? We've had a bit of a sausage fest so far.
Oh, no.
Okay.
So why don't we talk about Skylar White from Breaking Bad? Oh, I can feel the reactions already. Brilliantly acted by Anna Gunn.
Oh yeah, amazing.
She's won multiple Emmys.
Well,
for it.
She got enemies from it.
Got enemies. There's some double entendres. I'm full of them. But no, she's brilliantly acted, but she's brilliantly acting a really annoying character. Just plain and simple. You don't want to be annoyed by her, but because ultimately Walter White is putting her through a bit of hell. But you'd like her to have a bit more of an understanding of his situation and be a bit less whiny. And also, later on, when she sleeps with her boss and then kind of rubs it in his face after everything he's been through, that kind of gets you a bit annoyed as well. What do you guys think?
I love the fact that you think the fact that she needs to be understanding that her husband lied about how he was making money and concocted a meth empire, putting her entire family at risk, and she shouldn't, and she should therefore not cheat, and may point it out. What a load of tosh that is! You're there.
No, it's not tosh.
It is.
He actually said tosh. Okay. Here's the thing, right? She does that, and then all of a sudden she's like, right, I'm on board. I'll help you. So she goes, I really hate the character of Skylar White. Brilliantly acted, but just very naggy, whiny, annoying. And obviously, especially in the first couple seasons, Walter is very likable, and, you know, I think pretty much everyone's rooting for him. It's only towards like the last season or two where it gets a bit darker and some people really turned against him. So for the first few seasons, you're really rooting for Walt, and therefore, because Skylar kind of gets in the way of that, even though what he's doing is illegal and all the rest of it, it makes you want to not like Skylar. And then especially when she sleeps with Ted and everything, it's just
no, like as Walt starts to build up his empire, then she has more of a right to like be like, right, this is out of order. But near the start, when he's slowly building it up and he's just trying to make some money for his family for when he dies, he doesn't even want the money for him to his treatment. He wants it just for his family. Like, all he cares about is his family. And there seems like a lack of empathy towards that fact rather than what he did. Like, he didn't do it out of selfishness. So that's where I'm coming from. There seems to be a lack of, you know, a little bit more understanding of why he did it, because he was desperate to help his family.
Paddy, the whole point of Breaking Bad, and a major part of it, is the fact that Walter does it because he wants to feel powerful, because of the fact that he thinks that he didn't get what he truly deserved.
Can we leave Walter until later? Can we leave the Walter talk till a bit later? We'll be like, we're talking a bit too much.
We shouldn't have talked about Skylar then.
Well, no, but initially,
you can't talk about one without the other.
initially his aim was to make money for his family, and then as his empire grew, he started to get more arrogant, and then he started to get hungry for power as his empire grew, which is at the point where Skylar should be really like just fuming, but that is the point where she tries to help him. Whereas where in the earlier parts is where she's like being more whiny, but when he starts to get like more life threatening for their family, that's when she starts to help. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but
right, okay. The first 2 seasons is when you're saying whiny. That's when she doesn't know about the fact that he's a drug dealer. Never mind drug dealer, drug kingpin who's creating meth. So he's secretly going out at night without her having any idea what he's doing, and she doesn't know about what's going on with his life. You'd be suspicious and whiny about your partner if that was it. The fact of the matter is, that people like Walt so much that it's unfortunately victimizes Skylar.
yeah, but that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Like I shouldn't dislike her as much as I do because I should be able to understand where she's coming from, but it just instinctively I don't like her.
Yeah. Also, she smoked while she was pregnant. That's and
Yeah.
also
It's a bit out of order.
she wasn't exactly an angel herself before she helped Walt, because she helped Ted do very illegal business things with the money and everything. Now, obviously, that's not as bad. It's not as bad, but it was very illegal, and it could have landed her and Walt in a lot of trouble.
Couldn't we say this hate? Would you agree that this hatred's a good thing? Like, you love to hate this person.
I don't know. I don't, because I want to like this person more because I should feel more sympathy towards her, but I don't. I feel more sympathy towards Walt for some reason. I shouldn't though. I shouldn't, but that's the way I feel.
If you feel sympathy towards Walt, then how?
What do you mean how? There's a guy who's been diagnosed with cancer, a very steady job, steady family, baby on the way, who in a desperate situation clawed for something to make some money to help his family. You've got to show a bit of sympathy for that.
Especially after
he so much about that. Do you not think he would have taken? Do you not think he should have just taken the free cancer treatment offer that he got from his 2 mates in the 2nd episode?
What I mean,
well, he's also a person of pride as well.
Yeah, his 2 mates who he had that business with, but then he walked away and they became like billionaires, and he was just left with being a school teacher.
Like he was
he didn't want to be a donation of charity. That's what annoyed him so much.
The thing is, he was the main brain of that business, the operation, and they'd made all the money while he was away. He ended up being a teacher.
That's what Walt says, who, as you've just said, is a very prideful person. Now, can we vote on Skylar, and maybe transition into the Walt?
Okay, let's do that.
Because it feels like that's the way this is going.
Let's do that
then. You guys go first, I think.
Oh, she's a poor character, I'll give you that.
Oh my god, you just argued all that time and agreed.
Well, I thought this was going to be a case where everyone was going to try and put her in the bottom tier, and that's just too far.
No, well, the thing is, I wanted Skylar to die in the show, so I have to put it in wouldn't mind their fictional death.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted her to die in the show, but I don't know whether I could put her there because she's well acted and part of the story, but I don't know.
No, obviously very well acted, and as a character to dislike, an incredible character to dislike, but I have to put her in that tier because that's just how I feel. Like, very dislikable character, but also a crucial and good one.
Right.
I want you to vote before I vote.
All right, Neil.
I mean, I didn't really get a chance to say my piece, but
good point. Yeah, say your piece now, mate. No, it's always important everyone gets their piece. Go ahead.
Well, it would be very long, and it's extremely antithetical to what you guys just said, so I would just probably put her in likable.
I'd probably say likable as well. I think it's the idea of you love to hate a real, because she is partly the villain of the show, but she's also meant to be the sympathetic wife.
She is not the villain in any way.
Well, no, she. Oh, never mind.
Well, Just because I could never stand to see this woman in likable. I don't see how she's likable anyway. I'm going to say poor. So she's in poor.
I don't
Okay.
think, I don't think Mangan actually voted.
No,
He did.
he said likable.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So we go back to Richardson.
Yeah, back to me, and I'm actually going to go for another woman. Actually, just can't stop. Really
Please be good,
equal
otherwise
amount.
we start to look sexist.
No, don't worry. We're talking about Annalise Keaton from How to Get Away with Murder, which I hadn't watched in a couple of years, but I do really like the character of Annalise because, firstly, she's very complex. She's been through all sorts. Like, she got all right. So here's a little list. She got abused by her uncle as a child. She lost a child in a car accident. She got cheated on by a husband. Then her husband was killed, and then she has to live with a mother who has dementia, and her parents are divorced as well.
And her husband killed someone. There is not a trauma this woman has not been through.
And
Wait.
she had affairs herself.
Wait, hang on.
True.
Who did her husband kill?
It was
what was
her name?
The whole point of the first season.
Yeah.
No, she well, oh, sorry, no. Well, here's the thing. He didn't actually kill the girl. He got pranked to him, so he didn't
Oh yeah, good point.
actually
Yeah,
kill her.
true.
That's why I was a bit confused. I was like, hang on a second.
He just ordered the hit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. He's just a mastermind about it. Get it right. He wasn't the one actually strangling her to death. No, but also she's clearly the best lawyer in any courtroom she is. She's a complete badass, to be honest. And she's got some incredible like comebacks, and she can just roast the hell out of anyone. And she does really try to protect the people that she cares about and loves. Like the students, I think it's called the Keaton Five, which is like 5 students from her class she picks like every year or whichever or cycle. And all for different complex reasons that the show eventually delves into. I haven't actually watched the last season, so if you know the ending, don't tell me. But from the 5 seasons I have seen, she's not all good though. She does a lot of tampering with evidence. She's covered up murders, but again, to protect herself and also people close to her. I think she's a very good character. I'm not going to vote just yet, but I'm wondering if anyone else has any thoughts. I know Mangan's watched it as well. So what do you think?
I love this show.
Yeah, it's great.
I stopped watching for some reason after season 3, and that was mainly to do with like work and stuff, and I just never got back into it. But looking at this now, I kind of want to get back into it because I love this show. Like it does have its flaws in some of the characters I just despise, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
But Annalise Keaton makes the show.
Yeah.
Like she has that horrible, harsh, stern side of the lawyer, but she also turns into something of a mother figure towards Wes.
Yeah.
And you've got everything in between. Like I love courtroom dramas. So
yeah. There's also, sorry to interrupt. There's layers to it with she kind of has a drinking problem, and she is very vulnerable as well as strong, which I think makes her character so good because even though she's more of like an anti-hero, but she is strong and she can like take down people and always find a way to win. But at the same time, she does have her weaknesses, which makes her a very balanced character, and which also the acting for her character by Viola Davis is out of this world, like top draw.
Viola Davis is one of the best actresses in the world right now.
Yeah,
that's
unbelievable job.
She is incredible, and she does, like you said, she does an amazing job as Annalise.
All right, Neil, do you want to speak, seeing as we may have, not let you speak last time?
I don't really know anything about the character, to be honest.
Oh, well, there we go. Neil, next time we get to one that you know a lot about the character, please give us an indication, and we'll let
scream
you
and shout.
Yeah, and let it all out.
Copyright.
I'll talk next then because I know I've watched a couple of seasons as well. I kind of lost interest around where Mangan said he lost interest. He stopped watching. It gets too complicated. But the character of Annalise Keating, yeah, she carries the show, really does. Yeah, she's a good teacher. I'd certainly be happy if I was doing a law class and she showed up.
I wouldn't.
Well, I don't know because I think there's a good chance I might die or end up.
No, like the thing
no,
is,
mate, I wouldn't be good enough to make the top 5, so I'm fine.
no, the thing is, she reminded me of every teacher I've ever hated. Like, not because she's a bad character, but just those teachers that just make you feel so stupid, like just for their own pleasure. But no, she's a brilliant character, brilliant lawyer, genius. I haven't seen enough of the show to overrule your votes, so I'll probably let you take this one.
I just want to ask Paddy one thing. Were you terrified of her?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
goddamn, I am, yeah. I'm terrified of most women.
Some of her speeches in the courtroom, in some of the cases they do, are like just amazing as well. Like some of the best like monologues in TV that I've watched in what she says and how she ends up winning cases is just great. Mangan, where would you place her?
I'll put her incredible. Incredible.
I would agree, but also wouldn't mind if she went in Genius at the same time.
I'd
but because of someone else I've already picked, I don't think I can pick two people from Genius.
You can if you want.
I'd also vote incredible.
Just your honest vote. Just your honest vote.
You know what? We're gonna have a woman in the top tier. She's going in Genius.
Well, that's
she's not because the other two.
No, wait, hang on a second. No, Paddy said Genius too.
Paddy said his vote didn't count.
No, I haven't seen enough of the show to fully get the character, so
I can't.
Shut up.
I can't. I do kind of want to put her in Genius now because we've had a bit of woman bashing so far. Yeah,
no, we haven't had woman bashing.
We have
Think
not.
about it. Mangan, she is a genius, though. She is a genius.
She is.
Like maybe the show isn't.
No, but just because her character's a genius doesn't mean like her character's a genius. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't mean it's a genius character just because her character's a genius.
No, but I think both ways she kind of is.
No, you know what? I've done it. I've had Genius. I'm putting her in Genius.
We switched.
Yes.
Hang on, we're not allowed to change votes.
We had our own plot twist.
You are if you do it before we go on to the next
Yeah,
one.
I was going to say, and speaking of which, Colin's take it away.
This is an outrage. All right, then I'm going to talk about... we've had too many women in a row, so let's talk about a man. That sounded horrible.
Yeah.
Why did you say it like
No, women
Well
bashing.
done, Collins. You just got cancelled.
Yeah. Right, so we're going to talk about Rick Grimes. Obviously, the first main character of The Walking Dead. The story starts with him waking up in hospital, wondering, where is everyone? He's alone in the world, only to find out that the zombie virus has started. And you know what? He's a good character to go on this journey with, I feel. Because he's kind of like, because he doesn't let go of the fact that he is a cop first and foremost at the start of the show. And you can feel that throughout the entirety of it. He always wants to take the moral and lawful way to do things, which is kind of something that I enjoy when it's no longer a moral and lawful world like a zombie apocalypse. What do you guys think of Rick Grimes? Seeing as I know this is a character that probably people have watched a bit of.
I have always liked the character Rick Grimes, but there's been times where he has really, gone maybe too far and almost been a bit of a villain. I can remember when they were in Alexandria and he had like blood on his face and he was just going crazy, shouting about everything. And I think then Michonne just comes along and knocks him out to shut him up, because he does go quite far with his actions, where he's killed people, but like maybe when he didn't even have to. And then there was like a real savage moment where, you know what, it was to save his own life, where he bit a guy's neck and ripped it out with his teeth. But I do like his character. I think it has to go. One of the. I'd put it in one of the top. I'd probably put it incredible, but I'm not sure yet. I'm
He's
not sure.
English. He's English, isn't he, Andrew Lincoln?
He is.
Yeah,
He
impressive.
is. Yeah. He does a pretty decent accent. Yeah.
There's so many English actors that do like brilliant American characters.
Yeah.
I will look at a few later on as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, actually, there is one. There's a couple here.
But this is tough for me because I watched about 4 seasons of it and then I stopped once, spoiler alert, Herschel and the governor died.
Herschel's death got me, man. Hated that.
I dragged along through The Walking Dead. Like, there were bits where I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, but I think there's a bit of it where it's like, oh, this drags so long. And Grimes isn't a character that really resonated with me in a sense of I'm meant to be rooting for this guy, if you get what I mean.
No, I understand that. I do
also
100% agree with you. I actually don't like The Walking Dead as a show, but I just like Rick. Every season of Walking Dead can be described as they walk a lot, they find a place, they say it's the safe place where we're going to spend the rest of our lives. The zombies get into the safe place, and then they start walking again.
No, the good thing is they have kind of changed it in the last couple of seasons.
Is it still going?
They have, yeah. Well, Rick has left
Flipping
the
hell.
show. Rick left the show, but he didn't die. It was an interesting one. But he was supposed to, in quotations, die to the rest of the group because they thought he was dead in heroic fashion by saving them all from this massive horde of zombies. Yeah, the thing is, he's a good character, but he's not perfect. He does make a lot of mistakes, and his mistakes can lead to like really bad things. But I get what you mean about the Walking Dead, but they have changed it up. They've got like the Whisperers who kind of like blend into zombie hordes and then use them as weapons and stuff like that. They have changed it up slightly, which is good because they needed to. But I get what you're saying about the repetitive nature. I think people started to really clock onto that like after about like season 5 and stuff. Although I really do like Negan as a villain, even though those series weren't the best. But anyway,
okay. Neil, you got anything to say?
I mean, I think like Rick Grimes maps very much onto the show, doesn't it? The show is interesting at times, drags at others. Even Rick Grimes as a character is kind of a bit like that. When the show drags, he drags. Like, his character isn't strong enough that he can keep you engaged in watching it through those bad times. So, I don't think he's an amazing character. He's a fair protagonist, but he's not exactly remarkable in any way, is he? Really? There's nothing that stands out, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the little I've seen of it, I kind of agree with Neil's assessment, but again, you guys have seen a lot more episodes than me, so.
Yeah, I think I'm personally putting it middle ground. I'm putting it likable.
That's where I put him.
Yeah. I was gonna say incredible. To be fair,
well, I think that's being a bit too far, to be honest.
I think
that's a bit too much for a Walking Dead character.
Well, maybe, but at the same time, I think the first few seasons of it was so good, and then you had the whole Rick v Negan thing, and I did like that as well. Even though it did drag at times, I do agree with that. But I actually do really like him as a character, so I would put him in incredible.
I think unfortunately though, you have to remember one thing: the Walking Dead Telltale games were better, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, Neil, Paddy.
I put him in poor, personally. Don't think there's anything spectacular about the character at all. He's just average.
All right, and Patrick.
Yeah, let's meet in the middle. Let's call him likable. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, right. Let's talk a bit about Orange is the New Black, or more specifically, Piper Chapman. Now, I didn't really watch this, before researching this, but when I was looking at like hated characters,
choice.
I know, but I watched it a bit. She was consistently rated poor, and looking at it, watching it properly, you can actually see why. She was first portrayed as something that was meant to be like sympathetic, like a woman going to jail for the first time, like the worries that entails, like the fear, all that sort of stuff. But she grows into an awful character, and quite a lot of reviews about it agree. They've stated that Piper changed from being a gangster wannabe into a dangerous villain, which is like we were meant to be rooting for this woman, and it wasn't even a sense of the writing tried to turn it into that way. It was just she did it. She started a white power group just to like get ahead, and a lot of reviews have said they wouldn't really mind if she left the show. Full stop.
Yeah,
Show.
I'm just looking at some of the articles and the titles. They don't bode well. Orange is the New Black's Piper, maybe the most hated character ever. Is Piper Chapman actually the worst? Chapman is the worst person in the world. 10 times Piper Chapman was the villain. Etc. Etc. Will someone please, for the love of God, kill Piper? is a title from an article from Vice.com.
Well, it seemed from what I watched that she was a character with a lot of potential to grow throughout the show. Like, they put her in, she's quite a bland character, like, not a lot to her, but she seemed like she'd get put into jail, and then she'd grow into this badass. That I haven't watched much of the show, but that seems as though that's the way the show would go, and which could have worked probably, but it seems like they've evolved it in the wrong. They've evolved the character in the wrong way. Like they've maybe gone too far.
Again, she has such a sense of entitlement when she's in there that just screams like annoyance, arrogance. Like, who's meant to be arrogant in a prison, really?
Well,
like she belittles she belittles people who don't have a college degree while she's in there as well.
I mean, that's not that crazy.
But yeah, I think wouldn't mind their fictional death.
Any other thoughts from anyone?
I haven't seen enough of the show to give a good enough assessment.
I never really watched it.
Is any other character on this like list actually based on a real person?
Is she based on a real person?
Yeah. That's just.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's not exactly a true story, but like it's based on a book by a person called Piper Kerman, which is where the character comes from. So I mean, the show character obviously jumped the shark a bit, right? But if you're seeing all this stuff about, this snobbish behavior, all that kind of stuff, it's because, the real person was a bit like that. Like, they said, like, this book, Orange is the New Black, not the show, the book, was released trying to show, like, I'm, trying to keep being an individual and keep my identity in these black and grey walls of the prison. But actually, a lot of people came out and criticised the book as being a middle-class woman who had her privilege taken away and is now moaning about it. So,
yeah,
if it's a bit like that, then, it comes from the book, which was written by a person who is exactly that kind of middle-class Karen,
Right.
Right. Yeah. Is there anything else? Collins, did you have something to say about it?
No, I've never really watched the show. I watched a bit of it for the purpose of reviewing this, and yeah, I just don't feel anything for her. I think I'd put a poor.
I also actually spoke to my mum about this, about the character, and she said basically the same thing. So thank you, mother.
So yeah, about you're saying Phil wouldn't mind their fictional death.
It's gonna sway So yeah, I wouldn't mind their fictional death. I think. If anyone disagrees, then fair enough, but you're wrong. Anyone?
I don't really have a lot to go on.
All right. Well, through.
But I'll put her there because it seems like from what the wider spectrum of people are saying,
Yeah.
seems
Neil,
like that's.
So, if this character's based on a real person, does that mean we wouldn't mind the real person's death?
No, that's we've specifically said fictional death.
Right. Okay.
We're very
We don't
specific
wanna
with the
send
wording
death
of that.
I was just look. I'm saying, lads, we've had some spooky powers going on with our tier lists.
Oh my god,
Oh,
no.
compassion.
For the love of
Well,
God.
we were very careful and we mentioned fictional on purpose.
But yeah,
That
Neil.
was clear.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, in that case, crack it right on to Neil.
Okay. How about Harvey Specter from Suits, who is cool lawyer man extraordinaire. He's cool. That's what he is. He's cool, and he exists as cool. Everything he does is cool and classy. He was GQ said he was the best dressed man on TV because he's cool, and that is his defining characteristic. He is cool, and very little else.
I'm not.
Yeah, I was starting to get I sensed a bit of a sarcasm the third time you said cool.
I am not getting in the way about a law show in front of the law graduate.
Yeah.
True.
I will give him credit, right? I feel like Harvey Specter actually inspired a fair number of people to go and study law at university. Because bloody hell, I'm not joking. Probably 70% of the people I met study law at uni had seen Suits, and if they hadn't, they'd seen it within the first couple of months of starting. So it clearly has had an influence in certain niche circles.
Well, he makes law
People
look like
want to
really
be
cool, doesn't he?
cool.
Yeah. As you said, he makes law like seem really cool, and it kind of is pretty cool. But he makes it like, takes it out real extreme. Like he's a very charming character, good looking and all that. Not necessarily likable because of that, but not, as I said, not a lot of depth to him. But very cool, but not a lot else.
Is this bit like how we talked about Brooklyn Nine-Nine? How they may be police officers cool and like neat. Like, are we looking at this in the same way?
No, I don't think they did make police officers cool because, like, no one would ever think that that's what policing is like in real life. Whereas people could watch Suits and think this might be what law's like in real life. Like, there's a more realism that translates in Suits.
It is a fairly realistic portrayal, for like a partner in a law firm, like, the fancy suits, the nice meals, all that kind of stuff. It's not that detached from reality. Obviously, the guy next to him, the like unbeatable memory is a bit else of it. But Harvey Specter himself, this is fair to say, there's some people, very experienced lawyers, who totally think they are him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the initial story in the first episode of the random kid running away from the cops into the interview office, he finds his way into the interview office and then gets the job. I mean, that's a bit far-fetched to me. I get that's probably like the whole like beginning of the story. It's meant to be a bit quirky and a bit funny, but it's quite a far-fetched start to the story.
I will say, I actually really like Suits. Not enough to make me try and get a law degree like Neil. I figured I'd get more of a reaction from Neil there.
Yeah.
But
Neil, sorry, go on.
Harvey's an awful person.
He's a scumbag.
Like he's cool. Oh, he's definitely cool. But if you are friends with him, you definitely get betrayed.
You made him sound like a WWE character then.
I mean, yeah, in terms of promos like that, I mean, all he does, he talks a great game. Talks a great game, but he constantly bullies Lewis, who just wants to be his friend. And Lewis is the best character in the show. And if you don't agree with that, then you're a horrible person. But and Harvey, he bullies Lewis constantly. He thinks that the rules don't apply to him. Because at the end of the day, he gets the job done. He's the best goddamn closer in the city, don't you know, Jessica? And he uses like the fact that he has daddy issues and he can't get in a relationship because my dad cheated on my mom, and that means that I just can't trust myself. What?
Really? Wow.
Yeah, that's a major plot point. The fact that that is also Mike, who obviously is the other main character that cheats on his girlfriend, and he punches him because it's such a sore subject for him. Cheating.
Neil,
you don't even know his girlfriend.
Neil, if even 50% of this happens whilst you're in your offices and stuff, you need to tell us.
Genuinely, if people got a law degree hoping to be like Harvey, then the law profession is doomed.
I mean, the law profession's already doomed. That's another episode.
You know the reality. I mean, there are a certain number of people who are like that, but the reason I never actually went on to do a professional qualification in law is because most people will end up like, oh, this kid stole a chocolate bar from Home Bargains or something. That's good to work on for 20 years.
Other shops are available. Gotta put that in there.
Yeah, I think we should vote now. We've spoken a lot about him. Neil, kick us off.
I'd probably put him in likable. I feel like, I'm obviously overplaying the fact that he's cool, right? But he's a better character than some that we've listed up to now. And, he's fairly likable. He's a very watchable character at the least, So I'd put him in likable. He's no more than that, but I think that's fair.
All right, Colin.
He's a bad person, and you shouldn't want to be like him. God damn, every time he's on the screen and am I paying attention, I'd put him in likable as well.
Paddy Written?
Yeah, I probably have to agree that likable, but not you couldn't put him any higher.
I don't know if he's likable, but he's super engaging, which kind of makes him likable.
All right.
He's likable in the sense that you like the character is what we mean. I don't like him as a person.
Like you don't want to like him, you're engaged by him.
All right then, he's likable then. So, Paddy, what's your next step?
Why don't we go to Game of Thrones?
Yay!
I'd like everyone
Yay!
I'd like everyone to talk about Game of Thrones without talking about the final season. Let's pretend that doesn't exist, and we'll look at it as the 7 seasons.
Okay.
And without doubt, the best character on one of the best shows of all time is Tyrion Lannister.
Okay.
Would we agree?
The last 3 seasons of Tyrion Lannister, he becomes a bumbling idiot who only spouts one-liners. The moment he kills his dad, his part on the show is done, and they don't know what to do with him, and he becomes less of a character.
He killed his dad.
Well,
Tyrion, yeah.
He becomes second. He becomes less of his own person anymore because he goes to Daenerys and he becomes a second-hand man. So
he makes a one-liner and he drinks, and he makes a one-liner and he drinks, and then he has an idea and it gets shut down and he drinks.
Yeah, but I kind of think that's sort of part of the evolution of the characters. He's just been beaten up mentally his whole life. That he's just fed up and he just wants to drink and do nothing else and make sarcastic comments. Like towards the end, like that's kind of part of his evolution.
Calling that evolution.
Well, devolution.
That's a devolution, you mean?
Devolution, that's what I mean.
Nah. He's a victim. That's what it is. He's a victim because after the 5th season, or starting in the 5th season, his the writing of the whole show started its trend downwards, didn't it? And Tyrion Lannister just suffered the way many other characters suffered. His writing became terrible. However, if you look at the first 5 seasons, he's incredible. The acting is so good. The the writing is so good. He's so compelling. I love his story about like not being accepted, being a Lannister, but not really being one, being like a smart person in an unexpectedly short body. I absolutely adore those seasons of Tyrion Lannister, but oh good God, those last seasons.
Like
They emasculated him in those last seasons.
But like, think about like the world he's living in, where all these great warriors die, and it's such a difficult world to live in. And this guy who's a dwarf is able, through his cleverness and his brain power, to fight his way to come out on top. You know, through the seasons, and I just think that shows a lot about his character.
I stopped watching Game of Thrones actually on season 6 for some reason.
Look at you.
Well, yeah.
Good point.
But one thing I will say is, when I was watching Game of Thrones once, people like Rod Stark had died and all that.
Oh, spoiler!
He was the person I wanted to watch more than anyone else because I enjoyed his character so much.
Can we talk about the scene in the court where they're all accusing him of Joffrey's murder, and he has that speech, that passionate speech, and just some of the most incredible acting you'll see, like Peter Dinklage.
He won the Emmy for that.
Yeah, deservedly so. Peter Dinklage, incredible job with the character. Not even, and like, he's American, like, and think about the accent he puts on in the show. It's so convincing, and it's just such a convincing performance.
Yeah, for once an American plays a British person.
And
He
brilliantly.
doesn't play a British person. He plays a Westeros person.
You know what I mean.
Richard, have you had any research on Tyrion?
No, I don't want to know much about Game of Thrones because I haven't. It's something I want to watch, so I don't want to then research the character and find spoilers.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
We've only revealed a couple.
Well, don't say.
We've literally revealed two of the biggest ones.
Well, the thing is, I was actually getting a drink, so I kind of missed them.
Well, yeah. Let's not reveal any story plots because it's well worth watching.
It's a tier list for what characters?
Yeah, but you don't have to reveal story plots.
All right. Remember that time he did that thing? It was really bad. Yeah, this is engaging. I reckon the listeners are enjoying this part.
No, but you can talk about the court scene and just say the court scene.
All right, Richard, could you just leave for 5 minutes or message you when you come? Message you when it's safe to come back.
5 minutes. Are you still talking about him?
Yeah,
he's an incredible character that deserves to be talked about for this long.
Yeah, and in the last 3 seasons, he becomes a rubbish character.
Fair enough. Just
Right.
put a message in the Skype chat.
No, you know what?
Yeah,
Let's just vote now. I think we've spoken.
Yeah,
enough.
we'll vote now. Written for you.
No, you don't. No, you don't have to.
No,
To be honest, there's not a lot much else to say on him. To be honest,
Okay.
just an incredibly witty, charismatic, likable, clever, smart character who does tail off towards the end of the show. But for me, it's not enough of a tail off to not put him in genius for me. I love him so much.
All right, Neil.
I would probably put him in likable, which is so horrible because I want to put him higher, but dearie me, those last few seasons really took down his stock.
100% agree. You can't discount the last 3 seasons, which completely ruin him as a character. There's nothing genius about him when you get to season 8. I mean, dear Lord, he thinks the best story belongs to. Ritson, please turn all the volume down.
Okay.
Is he gone?
Let's just assume he has.
He thinks that Bran should be king. That's a smart man, isn't it? The best story belongs to Bran Stark. I'm sorry, Paddy, but everything good about him goes away halfway through the show, and you can't forget that. You can only put him in likable.
Just give your opinion. I'll give
did.
mine.
I did.
Don't shoot down my
also,
opinion.
yes. Well, Paddy, I have to.
You don't.
I do.
Just give your opinion. Move on.
I am going to say incredible because, like I said, I stopped watching after season 6, so I've basically missed all the badness that you've spoken about it. So from what I've seen, yeah, he's incredible.
There we go. So that means likable wins.
Flipping
Oh,
hell.
well, I unmuted at the perfect moment.
That's a
All
travesty.
right, moving on to the next one. I believe that'll be who's that now? Is it
Ritson.
Mr. Ritson?
Yeah.
Me.
All right, then
Right.
go ahead.
Let's go on to some Stranger Things, and let's talk about Jonathan Byers, Will's brother, who is seemingly portrayed in a light of being a sympathetic character that we're supposed to root for, but I don't get how, when a lot of the things he does are kind of creepy and annoying. Like, let's just go through a little list of the things that he's done. He took a photo of the Demogorgon and didn't even know. He let Will trick or treat on his own when he was suffering from those episodes of being in the Upside Down, when he was actually what was it, possessed.
If you've never heard about this show before, you'd be so confused by like what you're saying.
I know, right?
When he was
Yeah.
in the Upside Down, like
What, was he hanging like a bat? What does that mean?
Come on,
Too
listen.
much
I
blood went
haven't
to his
watched
head.
Stranger Things yet. I was looking forward to watching it after this. So I'm just gonna spend this entire segment on mute, please.
Okay, fair
go on
enough.
then.
No, not really.
That'd be great. What's that?
Well, he didn't notice Will was missing. Good brother. Especially, you'd think that if they're close tonight, they'd have kind of like a routine, and that Will had been out all evening and everything. They didn't check that he'd actually got in and that he was in bed safe. That's a good brother right there. He took pictures of some random party. And then, on top of that, he took inappropriate photos of Nancy when she was kind of getting a bit, getting it on with and then we're supposed to feel sympathy for him when Steve smashes his camera up with, the indecent photos that he'd just taken.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't get that.
The funny thing is, Steve actually is way more likable a character than him.
Yeah, right.
Even though he starts as like a bully.
Yeah,
Well, that's the thing.
Steve's
The creators
character
of
arc
the
is
show,
amazing.
the creators of the show actually were just going to keep Steve as a bully who was not going to get any development, but they liked the performance of his actor so much. Who was it again?
Joe Keenan or something like that.
Yes, something like that. Oh,
Someone Google it.
Joe Keery.
Joe Keery.
They liked his performance so much. They thought, no, we got to keep him going. So they made him go on the development and becoming a better person. And somehow he loses out to just a creep.
Yeah, I love a good like turning from bad guy to good guy story arc, like a Jamie Lannister type story. I love that type of story
that got ruined.
Yeah, that one I can fully get behind, like that. But that's a different story. But yeah, as you said, like we are meant to like this guy because he's like the underdog. He's kind of like he doesn't really have any friends. He's kind of like he gets bullied. He's kind of shy and awkward. We're kind of meant to relate to him a bit, but he's just a bit creepy and definitely one of the weakest characters in the show.
Yeah, he doesn't really seem to take care of Will that well, considering how close they're supposed to be and how much he's supposed to care about him. Like the one night when Joyce was working, he was supposed to make sure that Will returned home from Mike's house, when he went missing, but instead he picked a shift at his part-time job. Really good stuff, amazing.
Well, in defense that he's from an extremely poor family, like.
Yeah, but you can't just let how old was Will supposed to be, like 12 or something, 13? Like you can't just let him come home at night on his own and be like, yeah, he'll be all right.
Yeah, but at the same time, if this was real life, you wouldn't be expecting a Demogorgon to kill your brother.
Okay, maybe not a Demogorgon, but something could happen.
No, I know, but they kind of live like in the middle of nowhere, like where it's just trees and forests, though. Like,
yeah, well,
your point still stands, but I'm trying to defend them a little bit.
There's also when he was ordered by Hopper to not go to his father's house. But he goes anyway. He ignores the sheriff who's trying to fix everything. And obviously abandoned him doing the trick or treating as well. That's another thing about Will that I mentioned before. All those. He just seems to be an awful brother, to be honest, and a creep. Somehow he ends up with Nancy. How does that work?
I watched on YouTube. It was every word spoken by him in the seasons, and it was all just so whiny and annoying. And why is he a character?
He's a nice guy.
Are we talking about Jonathan or Collins here?
No, another English actor, by the way. Who plays him, I believe.
Neil, no, because he's not a good character. So that means that we've given him over to America.
It's the old Andy Murray thing. When he loses, he's British. When he loses, he's Scottish. When he wins, he's British.
I feel like his name's Charlie Heaton or something.
Neil, do you watch Stranger Things, really?
No.
Okay, well,
anyway.
Yeah.
Also, right, I can't remember this exactly, but I swear there was a scene where Nancy and Jonathan are in the forest, and Jonathan tries to tell Nancy how she should feel or how she should act or something, and that obviously doesn't go great. And then he also doesn't take Nancy to the snowball dance and leaves her dateless. So,
what an awful person.
Yeah, I just don't understand the fans he seems to get from this and the backing and the support. I don't get the characters, how he's supposed to be.
He's misunderstood, man.
Nah,
I could fix him.
Well, anyway,
yeah,
let's take a vote. I'm going to put him in poor.
Yeah, I was going to kick off and say poor as well.
Yeah,
I think I would mind his fictional death. I think I would feel a bit bad for him then, but
yeah, the other characters
the thing is, main reason I'd actually mind his fictional death is Joyce. Like, that's just a bit harsh on her. I mean, her sons went missing, and then he was possessed and demented, and all this stuff, and then her other son dies. I mean, that'd be too much.
Yeah, I'd say poor. I think
poor is the right. Anyone else?
All right.
Yeah, all agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Collins.
All right then. I'm gonna talk about Glee, show that I'm sure everyone's a fan of here.
Just gonna go for a nap.
They made one good song.
They didn't make the song; they covered it.
Exactly. They made one good cover then.
Yeah, I am gonna talk about the residential go-getter Rachel Berry, who is so annoying. So annoying. She's hyperactive, wanting to do the best. She's the overachiever nerd character who wants to make sure that they do their best job possible. So and it just grinds on my gears over and over again. There's nothing really redeeming about anything about Glee, in my opinion.
Well, I think what is sad to say about Glee is it's
everyone's dying on it.
Well, yeah, but it was it's meant to be such like a positive show and a feel good show in a way with other music and that, and it's just sad to see the way like what's happened to a lot of the cast, like the main cast. Since three of the main characters have died since, which is quite sad to see. But
yeah.
I mean, I didn't mind Glee back in the day just because I like music. I wasn't never really interested in the story that much. Never really that interested in the characters particularly, but I just like listening to music and covers of music and see what they did with them. So as a character, she never bothered me that much. I think she was important for the show, but like also quite annoying. I think she cheated on boyfriend like multiple times. That's that's a no in my book.
That's a no.
Oh yeah, we know you're opinion on Tyler.
And listen, mate, I'm a fan of fidelity.
That's a statement that we did not expect to hear today.
That's not what I expected to hear.
I'm gonna get that printed on a t-shirt. Fidelity's #1 fan.
I'm sure that'll sell so well
My
if you made
God.
merchandise out of it.
It will with feminists.
Mm.
They'll love that.
My God. Okay. Again, annoying. Someone who I watched like best moments of it, and there were no redeeming qualities other than she talks a lot. I think I watched like a couple of episodes of Glee when it was massive. And like I said, there was only one good cover, and that was Journey's "Don't Stop Believing," which actually made the charts somehow.
I think they did other good covers. To be fair, they did a good cover of "I Want You Back" by Michael Jackson. They did produce some decent covers. I'm not gonna like slag it off completely. From a musical aspect, it wasn't terrible. Like it's one of the better shows that I've tried to do this type of thing.
Neil, what do you think?
I mean, it's Glee. I don't really.
All right, bottom tier. There we go.
No. She's not as bad as Dawson.
Oh yeah, no, but I think she is important for the show, but not
Another poor, possibly.
I'd vote poor.
All right, Paddy, you seem
yeah, I was gonna say poor. I mean it. I mean, a fictional death in Glee would be a bit far. I know they had one, but that was because the character died in real life. So, like, I don't think they would have wanted to do that. You know, a show called Glee, someone dying would be a bit weird.
I mean, the main storyline in season 1, it is the fact that the teacher's wife is pretending to be pregnant and is buying the baby of one of the other main characters. It's hardly the most positive show.
You know,
forget about the story arcs.
in Community, they killed their Glee club twice, I believe.
Twice.
Yeah, true, but they didn't show it.
No, they had what? It was like the guy in charge. He like cut the brakes on their bus or something.
Can I just say? I've now watched every episode of Community. Flipping fantastic show.
What do you do in your spare? Is that what you do in your spare time?
No, it's 20 minutes long an episode. It doesn't take that long to watch.
How many seasons is it?
6. But
how many
the last couple of seasons end up as shortened seasons.
The last couple of seasons are 13 episodes because they're not as good, but it wasn't much of the show's fault because they lost 2 of the best characters.
Right, okay.
But anyway.
Let's
What
vote.
a surprise. Paddy's favourite character is the racist.
How do you know it's not Donald Glover?
Because I know you.
Yeah, it's true. It is.
Oh my God. All right. So we're putting her in poor, aren't we?
Well, only me and Paddy have voted.
Are you kidding? I didn't even get to say my piece.
You've seen Glee.
I am a huge fan. Have you? No, I honestly, I have nothing to say. I'm nothing to say.
Fair enough. I was being genuinely serious. Then I was like,
annoying, poor.
Okay.
Right. Let me stay with the women, the last woman of this list, and go with Jessica Jones. This is really tough for me, because I think she's a good character. Like, she's this she's this alcoholic private detective, like a proper murky Marvel story sort of thing. But when I saw her, she was just overwhelmed by things around her. Like, I think in the first season, she was squaring off, against David Tennant, and not just any David Tennant, English David Tennant.
Not a lot better than villain David Tennant.
Yeah.
He was brilliant in Harry Potter when he was the villain.
He was in it for 5 minutes.
And it was
a brilliant 5 minutes.
But like, it is really tough because the thing is, Kristen Ritter, who did a really good job, but against villain David Tennant, she had no chance.
I recognise the actress. Was she in Breaking Bad?
Yeah, she's Jesse's girlfriend who
thought so.
From an
I
overdose.
thought so.
She's also the main character in Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23 alongside Dawson Creek's actor.
She's everywhere. I thought she was relatively newcomer.
Man,
No, she looks
it's
quite young.
almost like she's an actor.
I know, but she looks quite young. She's like, it doesn't feel like she would have been around for that long.
Don't Trust the Bee is not that old.
Oh, I was thinking you were thinking of Dawson's Creek.
No, she wasn't in Dawson's Creek.
Oh,
James Van Der Beek is Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
He plays himself in Don't Trust the Bee.
I see.
Yeah.
Good show. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but I genuinely watched that, lads. That's a fun show.
Fair enough.
Can we get back to Jessica Jones?
Well, I didn't feel much towards it. It again doesn't seem like a character with that much to it. Like especially for a Marvel character, I want to be a bit more interested in it. Maybe I need to watch on a bit more, but it seemed a little bland to me.
Well, that's the thing. I think she's played really well by her. She does have this good story, but again, I think she's one of the lesser interesting things. I think you've got Kilgrave, you've got Luke Cage trying to get over his dead wife. You've got what's his name? He ends up being like but yeah, like it is really awkward for me because I honestly don't know where to put it. It's somewhere between likable and poor, to be dead honest with you.
Anyone else?
I actually really like Jessica Jones as a character. She's a reluctant hero, but in the sense of the fact that she truly has a reason to be a reluctant hero compared to when you go, oh man, I just don't want to use my powers anymore. Like the whole point of her character is she was a hero and she thought, I can do great things. And then the Purple Man shows up and she's under what also known as Kilgrave, and she's under his spell for years, doing things for him that just she would never want to do. She loses her free will because she has her powers. Like I believe isn't the way that he finds her is she tries to stop him and she reveals her powers and he goes, "Oh, you're interesting."
I think so, yeah.
I'll have you. And then for years she's got no free will. So of course she's broken. Of course she's an alcoholic. Of course she's just a private eye, not going out in a mask and suit trying to save the day. She tried that and it hurt her in such a horrific way. That's more than you get in a Marvel hero.
Well, the thing, because I think it's Marvel's turn of trying to be gritty instead of all the Avengers sort of thing of like superheroes save the day.
Always being gritty, like the comics and that.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That's not Marvel thinking now's our time.
No, that's what I'm saying compared to like others. Like I know it's been like this always been this gritty thing, and I incorporated it really well. But like I said, it's tough when she's quite, again, not her fault, overwhelmed with such a charismatic villain as David Tennant. Anyone else have an opinion?
I think you're forgetting season 2. She does a great job in that.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I said, anyone else?
I just really like Collins's conception of it. To be honest, I don't have anything to add. I think that's a really good conception of the character.
Okay, shall we get voting then?
Well written. Is he there?
He's fighting to get his opinion out.
Should we just vote? Because
I think he's gone to the toilet or something.
To me, the character's incredible.
I'm gonna say likable.
I said I agree with Collins, so I would go in the same category as him. Do like the character. Obviously not. You're not going to shine so brightly next to David Tennant, but still a pretty compelling character.
All right, Paddy.
It's not really fair for me to vote, so I'm just going to put it incredible.
Jeez.
I don't know enough
Get a
Not-
backbone, Paddy. Vote for your
I've seen one episode of the show. It's not fair for me to outrule your votes.
vote for your own free will. But anyway, we'll continue. Neil,
Okay. How about we go with Saul Goodman? James Morgan Hill. We're talking here specifically about the Better Call Saul version. I'll say we've got enough Breaking Bad characters. He's amazing in Better Call Saul, and that's obviously partly due to the writing and the story. But my word, he's such a compelling character. Like, he has a fantastic arc, a real bit of progression. You know, it's a character that really feels real. But what really makes him such an impressive protagonist is that you can really see the marks he makes on other people, be that Chuck or more apparently with Kim Wexler. You know, those two in Better Call Saul are like a dynamic duo. And the way that everything Saul does affects the way Kim acts, I think that makes for a really compelling protagonist because everything he does has real effects on the universe around him, and I love that.
Yeah, I know we're talking about him specifically for Better Call Saul, but just talking about Breaking Bad for a second, he was one of my favorite characters in that because he was a sense of comedic relief in a world that was so depressing. Everything was so dark. Everything nothing good ever happened, and he was that sense of comic relief when you needed it. And Bob Odenkirk, such a real great performance, so witty, he's such an underdog of a character you really root for.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, Neil's point of view, the best part about Better Call Saul is the fact that it can sometimes feel like things just happen rather than the characters do cause these things. With Better Call Saul, you can just see the effects that Jimmy has had on Kim. I mean, consider season 1 Kim, who just doesn't want to do anything that is not the ethically right thing to do in the law profession, and consider how season 5 ends with them attempting to derail, with Kim wanting to derail Howard's career.
Oh yeah.
Prepared. I'm genuinely not prepared for next season. I can prepare for breaking the heartbreak that's going to come at the end of that, but I just can't ready myself for it.
Yeah, I love Saul Goodman as well. Again, like Paddy said, you know, when Breaking Bad was going on, he was one of my favorite characters, and I was really glad about, you know, the spin-off. So I only watched Breaking Bad a couple months ago. I knew about Better Call Saul, and then once I saw how good of a character he was, I went straight on to binge that series as well. And some of the schemes they managed to pull off, and just how clever they are, and the way they're done, just he's a fantastic character. And as Neil said, he's got a really good really good growth within his character, from where he's come from and like where he's got to, and how we see him go from Jimmy McGill to Saul Goodman. You know, from the guy who was pulling those little tricks in the pubs to earn a bit of money, and the fake Rolexes, to, you know, trying to completely scam Mesa Verde with that video, those videos and advertisements he was gonna, you know, threaten them with to get a big payout and stuff like that. Yeah, love the character.
Also, you got to think with Better Call Saul, you take I mean, for as little as something counts as a comic relief character for Breaking Bad, Saul's the comic relief character. He's the one that's funny. He becomes everything and so much more in Better Call Saul.
Yeah, definitely. He really grows into a proper full emotional character as well. And the where he has to escape the desert as well. Amazing episode. A kind of a different side of what he'd been like used to in the courtroom and stuff, where he was like basically almost about to die and easily could have. You know, again, it's more onto that character arc, which is just so great and just so well written as well, but makes his character so good as well.
Okay, does anyone have anything else to say about it, about the character?
Another thing, I think maybe the best episode was Chicanery, where they basically proved that Chuck's electromagnetic sensitivity illness is completely in his own head by getting Huel to place the battery inside his pocket. Obviously, he had to like basically completely go against his own family, the only family he had left, in order to keep his own life going, and he had no real choice. Otherwise, he just would have he would have been back on the streets doing little tricks and stuff. I think. Does anyone agree with me that that's the best episode?
It's my favorite episode.
Yeah, I love the twist of it. It was great.
It's a great one, and knowing what happens to Chuck afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's so crucial in like the plot as it moves forward after that, and Saul getting his license back and changing his name, and obviously Chuck too. What happens to him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, shall we vote?
Yeah, let's vote.
I'll go first. I'm gonna say Genius.
I already voted.
Oh, I'll go second then.
Genius,
I'll go second then and say Genius as well.
Completely.
Yeah, definitely.
All right then.
Perfect.
Who are we on now, Paddy?
Yeah. Who have I got left? Oh, why don't we talk about? I want to save one for last. So let's talk about Bran Stark. in a show filled with such great characters, this is a character just that gets more and more annoying throughout the show. And I understand that him becoming emotionless is a big part of the character. But
hang on. Before you continue, Ritson, do you want to leave?
Oh yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.
Him becoming emotionless is a big part of the character because he becomes the three-eyed raven or whatever. But that takes away from the character, like because his acting just becomes so annoying to watch and repetitive to watch. The delivery of all the lines in that same tone, same emotionless tone, and it just gets more and more annoying throughout the show.
I'm saying it right now. When I said that Tyrion was one of the people I most wanted to see, Bran was always one of the characters I least wanted to see.
A character who went missing for a season,
exactly,
and yet he still became king.
Like, I can't believe that they thought Bran Stark was the king that we all wanted. Like,
well, it's not that. It's because if you've read the books, he's clearly George R.R. Martin's favorite character, and in the books, that's probably who he wants to make the king. It's just the fact that D&D are not good writers and didn't like Bran as a character, hence why they got rid of him for a season. So so they ended up finding out, wait, he's going to be the king. Oh no, what are we going to do now?
And he caused Hodor's death. I'll never forgive him. Never forgive him.
But the character is so important to the story. He's such a vital part. Like,
yeah, he becomes king.
Well, I know, but even before that, like, I quite liked his part of the story when he was with Hodor and he was with those other two, the boy and the girl. I can't remember.
What happened to them?
Well, the boy died, didn't he? He got killed by a White Walker.
Oh. What happened to the girl?
I can't remember, to be honest.
That says a lot about the later seasons, really.
It says a lot about every storyline Branson. Neil, what's your opinion on him?
Well, I feel like let's say he's a character that suffered a lot because I think the TV show is a bit selective with what it uses from the books. The books are very like heavy on their like mysticism, right? Like they have more magic, fantastical elements than the show does. I think Bran's character in the TV show really suffered for that because this whole three-eyed raven thing and what are they called? The guys who are with the three-eyed raven, the children of something?
The children of the forest.
Oh yeah.
Guys, they just kind of popped out of nowhere with no real explanation, right? And then all of a sudden, Bran can see everywhere and he's got no more emotions. It just kind of felt like it wasn't deserved. And I think a big part of that is just because so much got cut from the TV series that used to be in the books. Like, all these magical elements just seem to come out of nowhere. And then, you know, once that happens and he spends his year away in a cave, he returns to the era of terrible writing. And, you know, the whole thing is on a downhill slope from there. The only thing I'd say is he did give us that Hodor scene with the door. So,
That's a great scene.
For that.
Yeah, it's incredible that.
My favorite thing is when he said that he could not become the Lord of Winterfell because of the fact that he was the three-eyed raven, but he could become king because.
Yeah.
So ludicrous.
It was just like there was not even like like he didn't even question him becoming king. He was just like, "Yeah, I'll do it."
He didn't say, "Yeah, I'll do it." He said, "Why do you think I'm here?"
Oh yeah, well yeah, exactly. Like,
can we just vote on this guy because it's just angry talking about him.
And I've just realised that Richard's next, so we're gonna have to literally get him back. Do it as.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, someone message Richard to come back. I'm going to vote. Wouldn't mind their fictional death because
I would second that immediately.
I was going to say Paul. I think he's still important to the story. I just don't like how annoying he becomes with his
emotions. Can't be important to the story if you go missing for a season.
Well, I mean, you can be important to the story if you end up on the throne.
He shouldn't have been important to the story, which is probably why I would say, you know, I agree with the fictional death, really.
Yes!
Yeah, I couldn't argue too much with that, but
all right,
fair enough.
Someone get Ritson back.
Yeah, Ritson.
Is it his go?
Yeah.
It's literally his
Someone else do their ghost so that there's no filler.
Collins, you might.
All right, fine. I'll go. What? You go on next, man, and go ahead.
No.
Wait, I'm here. Sorry, my mic was muted.
All right, then. Go ahead.
I'm here.
You can have his go then.
I don't know why I muted my mic.
Spoilers gone.
Right, let's talk about possibly the best character on the entire list. Let's talk about Walter White. We already have a little bit, but let's actually talk about Walter White with no Skylar, although Skylar might come into it, who knows. As one of the biggest transformations you could possibly think of, he goes from this normal, everyday, you know, nice, kind of awkward science teacher in a school and becomes a drug lord who is probably the most wanted man in the entire country. Just the best character probably in the best show, one of the best shows ever. And I've only watched this a couple months ago. I kind of already want to watch it again, but I know that would kind of, you know, I need to wait a little bit longer. There's a timeline I found about the kind of gradual turn to pure evil that he went through. So firstly, we had like the killing of Crazy 8, where he didn't want to. He wanted to release this guy, but then found out that he was going to kill him with a piece of plate that he'd stolen. And we go on to then leaving Jane to die, which was one of his worst moments, but not the worst. Then he goes on to kill these two guys who work for Gus to save him from Jesse. Then, you know, there's so many iconic moments where with Skylar, you know, I am the one who knocks. That's probably one of the moments where Skylar starts to really fear who Walt is turning into. Then he poisons a child. That's delightful. But he knew what he was doing, so the kid was never in danger. And, you know, then we get into the really narcissistic stuff of, you know, Say My Name, the prison killings, and, you know, Tread Lightly. And eventually we get the confession that it wasn't for the family, or maybe it started off like that. But after a while, it just turned into him doing it for himself. And that because he was good at it and he liked it. I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say about Walter White.
Well, it's such an incredible like roller coaster he goes through the show. Like, I mean, how many shows would you get like the main character going through a roller coaster that he's been through? If you think about where he started and where he ended up, it's crazy what he's been through. But as well as him starting off doing it for unselfish reasons, however stupid it was a desperate decision. But just the way things escalated from there and the way he he grew into or lessened into this sort of almost evil person, like who got hungry on the power, and there's a real realism to that, because you feel like that's probably what would happen in real life if a situation like that occurred. But he is a genius. That, like, you have to be a genius to outwit Gus Fring, like. But yeah, just unbelievable character, definitely.
Yeah, the way he had to outsmart Gus Fring was by poisoning a child as well. He had to go to those extremes, and it showed like how far he'd come.
Let's be honest, lads. There's really no need to debate or talk about this one. We know where it's going.
Yeah, this should be pretty straightforward. This is probably maybe the most straightforward tier list selection.
Well, some people, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Some people would argue he's unlikable because of like some of the things he did, like letting Jesse's girlfriend die, and what he put his family through.
Take away from the character because it's part of the character.
Yeah, I just said I'm playing devil's advocate.
Also, how can you not like him? He threw a pizza on a roof.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
That's a good waste of food. That.
Yeah.
Don't start me on that.
All right, Neil Mangan, your guys' opinions?
I have no opinion on Walter White, to be honest with you.
Neil, your opinion?
He's a fantastic character. To be honest, I don't think there is much to discuss. He's a character.
And think about Bryan Cranston's acting as well. No, he was mainly known for like Malcolm in the Middle at that point, a comedy show. To go from that to Walter White.
Yeah.
Like, wow. That his acting diversity is incredible.
Yeah. What I love about it is that there's still moments of comedy with most of the characters as well, which is great, but obviously it is a very serious, like, dark show. And when you're talking about his acting, the first thing that comes to mind is that moment in Crawl Space where he just screams maniacally and then, starts laughing. I mean, it was kind of like a Joker laugh. It was just complete insanity, and it was some of the best acting that I've ever seen.
When he delivers that line.
Shall we go?
When he delivers that line, I'm probably going to get it wrong. When he says like I am the danger or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh God, chills went out. But let's vote anyway.
Yeah, genius. And if there was a tier higher, I'd put him in that on his own. Probably my favorite character ever.
For sure, genius.
All right. Shall we go on to the next one then?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to talk about my favorite drama TV show of all time, House, the show that takes Sherlock Holmes and decides what if he was a doctor. House is an absolutely incredible character. He is a broken man who just can't, who's never happy in the world, and never happy in the world due to a accident he suffered. He had I can't remember what exactly it's called, but he had what was the equivalent of a heart attack, but in your leg. So the muscle was dying there, and he wanted it just cut away all, just don't amputate, put me in a coma eventually, and let it all break away, get through, and it'll be all sorted.
It was a thyroid. It was a thyroid thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. But instead his girlfriend ordered them to do a partial amputation because there was a risk of him dying in that coma, and ever since that day, he's been broken in the world. He can't accept people being happy. He can't accept people who believe in God. He can't accept anything that gives anyone any form of solace in life, apart from pill addiction or addiction in anything in general. Obviously, the key thing about House is he's got his cane and he's got his bottle of Vicodin pills. The entirety of this show is filled with comedy moments. One of my favorite moments is where his staff members walk in to give an update on one of the on his patients for the episode, and he goes, "We've got rectal bleeding," and he goes, "What, all of you?" Hugh Laurie does a absolutely fantastic job. You would a funny story about the casting of him when he did his audition. They were talking about, wow, yeah, yeah, we really wanted to get him. It's a good job he's American. That'll make sure he's able to pronounce all the diseases correctly in the accent, not realizing he was British.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, his accent is so convincing. That's the thing.
Yeah. To me, he's genius, and he's one of the best characters TV has got.
It's so interesting for me to see a doctor that has no like regard for human like what do you call it, like he doesn't care about humans. He doesn't care about humans. He just cares about like cures. Like that's his goal. He doesn't care about the human.
It's a key part. He takes these cases to solve the puzzle, not to save a life.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what like it's so interesting to see a doctor who's so detached from like that human part of the job, and he's purely focused on the specifics of the job, which is to cure diseases, save lives. And like when a patient comes in with like a cold or something, like he'll just be like he'll have a go at them. You're like, what are you doing? Like he doesn't have that empathy that you see from real doctors.
Yeah, the parts where he's just in the free clinic and he's forced to treat these people. They're the funniest parts of the show.
Yeah,
like where he makes the bet with Wilson that he'll be kind to all his patients for a day, but the first person he gets in the free clinic is someone whose inhaler isn't working. So he goes, "All right, show me how you're doing it. I know how to use my inhaler, doctor. Right, well, just show me." And she sprays it on her neck like perfume.
Oh my god!
and he just smiles, and then it cuts to her leaving, going, "What? He didn't have to be so rude."
And when the guy comes in and he's orange and he's like, "Oh yeah, your wife's cheating on you." He's like, "She didn't notice you were orange, mate." Brilliant.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else? What are their opinions on how?
I think, especially in America, there is a lot of like medical dramas and stuff that could threaten to drown out anything else that goes around it. House signals itself out, and I think that's a lot to do with Hugh Laurie's performance as House himself. It is, when I've seen it, it is really good, and it's always keeps me hooked. I think that's all I really have to say about it.
I could never watch the show in full because I can't watch medical shows.
I'm
they give me way too much anxiety. Medical shows.
I have proper squeamish about that sort of stuff.
Well, I can appreciate it, like, for sure.
Neil, have you seen House before?
I haven't, but I really want to watch it now.
Oh, mate, the entirety of it is on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I think you'd love it, Neil. It seems like something you'd love.
Brilliant. You just want him to be a better person, and he wants to be a better person. And in season 7, he gets in a relationship, and he's becoming a father figure to the child that his girlfriend has. And then they break up halfway through the season, and it's tragic as he tries to figure out his place in the world And then the final episode of that season is best mate Wilson goes, you need to either shut the door or open it and get back together. So he drives into her house to fully make sure that they can never be anything to each other again, because he's broken and he can't work in a normal society.
Yeah, I'd love to see his character grow throughout the show. But I mean, I'm never going to watch it because I can't watch those type of shows.
Understand.
I don't know why that makes me so laughy.
I'm annoyed that I can't watch a show like that because medical shows just freak me out a bit. But I really do want to watch it. That's the thing.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, Written. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't really got an opinion on it, to be honest.
Sweet. Is this another case where I just get to put someone into where I want it?
Probably.
Not necessarily. I think me and Man can get a bit of a vote. But to be honest, I would agree with you anyway. So.
Yeah, I reckon so.
I was going to say genius anyway.
Well, I wanted to say incredible to see what Collins' reaction was going to be.
I'd have left the call.
Oh, in that case.
Well, no, we're moving on to the next one. So.
No, we haven't yet.
Doesn't matter, Man, and I said genius. Sorry, mate.
Okay. Well, we're keeping up with the high expectations here, and I am going to round off my picks with Hannibal. I love this show, and this character is one of the reasons for it. I know we're saying main protagonists, but I'm choosing Hannibal because everything that happens in the show, in one way or another, revolves around him. I think
do revolve around the film and stuff.
I think in Paddy, I take it you only saw the first episode.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I
think-
assumed they'd have turned it off the moment that the first victim got shown.
Um,
No, but nah.
Hannibal-
It's more that it's less the gory scenes in the hospital ones, more them talking about like the heart and that that freaks me out.
I think in that very first episode, then you'd have probably seen what sort of a person he was. He came across as this caring yet form.
I mean, it's Hannibal Lecter. I think I know. I think I know what type of person he's going to be.
No, but what he comes across, you can't just say, oh, he's a cannibal. Like, you've got to look at what he is before he turned into like Anthony Hopkins, basically.
Can I ask the question? This is a good question. How would you compare? I don't know his name. I think he's like a Swedish actor or something. How would you compare his performance to Anthony Hopkins?
Mads Mikkelsen.
Well, if that's his name, then yeah.
I mean, yeah. Who is his name?
He's Danish as well.
Yeah.
Well, close enough.
He's the official spokesperson of Carlsberg. I thought a Liverpool fan would know that.
I'm fairly certain that starts a war if you say that a Swede is close enough to a Dane.
Not really. I mean, it's close enough geographically. You know what I mean? Balkans, whatever they're called.
But yeah. Did you say
That's not. Did
you say the Falklands?
I just realised I've said the wrong thing. What did I mean to say? What's the word?
Come on, Paddy, you've got this. No, we're not going any further until Paddy gets this.
Well, we'll be here for a while. I can't work under pressure.
Come on.
Scandinavia.
There we go.
God,
but I think
Balkans is Serbia and that.
it's a tough one. Collins, help me out here. How would you say it? Because
Hopkins is both.
Oh, I don't know.
Please.
Ah.
Yeah, no, it's not like a bad
insulting.
thing.
It's not
insulting.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it's insulting.
It's not insulting. One of the best acting performances of all time. We're comparing to it.
I think it's a lot closer, like, than you'd expect. I think probably Hopkins does edge it, but like his performance in it throughout, the character is so amazing. Paddy, if I would make you a recommendation, it was like stick with it because it is incredible.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't get the justice it deserves because it was quite low rated because people just didn't watch it, but now it's on Netflix. It's just getting all of it.
Well, I was kind of confused by the first episode though because it was like people were dying, like these women were getting eaten, and it turned out to be this other guy.
No,
and I'm like, was it Hannibal or not?
Hannibal's the one eating them.
But what does that guy who got arrested?
Right, the guy
killed.
who Will shoot killed them. Hannibal was the one buying like the lungs and the liver and that from them.
Oh, so Hannibal didn't kill them?
No, he just
he killed one of them.
He kills the one that they accuse of being the copycat killer.
But that's the thing. He always like keeps to himself in a sense. Like he makes sure that all loose ends are tied up. Like in the first episode where he says, "You won't meet me, but they're onto you," to the eventual killer. Like he has everyone in an intricate web, and that web is just like it makes the show, and I think it's just incredible, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because they address it in the first episode. He's like, he is a psychopath, but he's not because he shows empathy. Like he doesn't want to shame the girl that he kills, which is strange. Like it's strange for a serial killer to have empathy like that. Kind of, it's a contradiction. So it's an intriguing character for sure.
Personally, I probably written like. Neil, do you have anything to say about it?
I mean, he's a very, very cool protagonist, to be honest, with a really cool dynamic. I don't really think I have much to add because I haven't seen a great deal of it, but I think he's a pretty damn compelling protagonist.
I mean, if there's one scene that I would recommend to everyone, it's the dinner party scene.
Yeah, I love how like cool, calm, and calculated he is as well. Like he never gets phased, he never panics. Like even when it looks like they might be onto him, true psycho.
The dinner party scene in which he kills like a bunch of people in like a phone book, and just as he's killing them, he just shows them serving to people. So I probably, in my opinion, I put him genius. In my opinion.
I would have said
No,
incredible. I would have said incredible.
Okay.
I think
Neil?
he's missing something to put him in with those other ones in top category.
Likeable, I would say.
Okay, so he's going incredible then.
Fair enough.
Rangan's heartbroken.
Not as
I think
hot.
that's respectable.
Yeah. As if he was gonna go on the bottom tier like one of my picks in the past. Neil,
Neil, you'll go.
Oh God's my last one. All right. Well, it's taking a bit of a different direction here, but my last one is Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Wow, he is a character. Bloody hell! I mean, it's Patrick Stewart. Come on, isn't that awesome? It's a Patrick Stewart character because that's what he is. He's Patrick Stewart. Do I need to say any more?
No, let's take a vote.
Genius.
A little bit more would help.
Okay, so honestly, as a character, I find him to be almost the perfect representation of a leader, like someone who is a paragon of duty and honor, but also of discipline. A character who really shows, how to be a team leader, how to be a negotiator, a diplomat. A character who, I mean, just to sum it up, the man is the perfect Renaissance man. And, he's not perfect either. Like, he's compelling in his way. Like, for example, his interactions with the Borg change his opinions. And Patrick Stewart's acting in that episode is incredible. Or the one where, like, he lives an entire lifetime as, like, a separate person, like, far in the past, and, like, how that affects him, like, through the series. Like, Star Trek is a serialized series. Most of the stuff doesn't pass from one episode to the next. But with Picard, despite that reset you see in every episode, like, Stewart is just so skilled at making those little things just carry on, creating a really, really compelling character, who I would argue is, easily the best Star Trek captain.
Oh, easily. I don't really like Star Trek as a whole, but I love The Next Generation. A lot of that has to do with Jean-Luc Picard. No, I heard the booze there.
I do have to say, does the Amazon Prime series Picard impact your decision?
Do I have to talk about Star Trek Picard?
Well, it's the same character
by
the same actor.
It's all right, but it's not okay. It's like it doesn't damage his character too much, but it does a little bit of damage. Like, for example, one of the characters is able to call him JL, which I find disgusting. Show the man some respect. Christ. JL! You know how much that annoyed me throughout the thing? Oh, honestly. And then the ending to that was ridiculous as well. Like, I won't discuss it for spoilers, but it ended up with Picard kind of like not really with his consent, but something very selfish happened to him that really shouldn't. Like, there was no spirit of self-sacrifice that Picard is the emblem of in that show. It did some damage to his character, but not enough to undo, 7 seasons of 26 episodes in which he was amazing.
Is it really bad, Picard?
It's average. It's average, but they do some, like, stuff with the character that I don't really like.
They also use the events of the Star Trek movie as the reason why he's retired.
Wait, hold on. I can't even. No, they don't. No, they don't. There
Yes,
was a
they
different.
do.
No, they don't.
No. In Star Trek Picard, he retires due to the fact that he failed to save the Romulans from the Hobus supernova in Star Trek 2009.
Oh yeah, but that's part. Wait, what? 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 Wait, what? Mate, Star Trek 2009 has like nothing to do with that, right?
No, that's what it says.
You're confusing Romulus and Vulcan, aren't you?
No.
Are you not? I'm pretty sure you are.
Oh, the Romulans, the bad guys.
No,
Oh,
right.
okay.
Genuinely, Star Trek Picard, a retired Picard deeply affected by the death of Data.
Oh crap! Oh, sorry. I understand now. Sorry, I understand. Oh, that bloody 2009 Star Trek film messes with the timeline so bad. It's like Spock travels back in time 200 years, and it really screws the timeline up. But that is true. But that's only part of it. Like a big part of it is the stuff with the robotics. That's the reason, you know. Don't look at the 2009 movie that Picard wasn't even in as the source. Think of it more as Picard retiring because partly because of the A and partly because they wouldn't save Romulus. But don't focus too much on the movie. Although we're getting off topic here, we're talking about the character.
Yeah. I should we vote then?
What? So we're just not talking about the character?
What?
That's a good point. None of us have talked about him.
Shall I say something? I haven't got much to say about him. I'm not a Star Trek guy. Almost said Star Wars. Almost got slayed. But
Star Wars as well.
True, but that one was a complete accident. Neil described him as a leader. That summed him up for me. Like the ideal leader. Like he commands such respect from the people around him. What he says goes, and whether it's wrong or not, he commits to his decision, and he cares about his people who follow him. I found Star Trek very strange, and I couldn't really follow it. But him as a character, brilliantly acted by Patrick Stewart, of course, and the ideal leader. That's what I would sum him up.
Plus, I find in like sci-fi things, you don't get many like proper quotes that you think you resonate with one person. With Jean-Luc Picard, you've got "Make it so." Like probably one.
Really? Sorry. I can't be too harsh. I am an ardent Trekkie, but the idea that you would say "make it so" is Jean-Luc Picard's best quote. It's a catchphrase. It's not even.
Well, oh, sorry, catchphrase. That's what I meant.
Right.
Oh, you got a Star Trek hardcore here.
Genuinely, I've seen every episode of every Star Trek series apart from the animated series.
Is that why you stand so much?
Is that why I want? Sorry.
We're up to him.
Honestly, Neil, I feel like you should just vote on this one on yourself. I don't think any of us can compete with that level of dedication to the show.
There is a chance that I have some bias, you know, because I really, really like the format. So I might be biased.
Does anyone have a depth watching of the show?
Yeah, it's one of my granddad's favourite shows, so I watched it with him.
I think I've watched a good couple of seasons of it.
Okay, well, you can have a decent debate about it anyway.
I was gonna say genius, but after Collins ripping on Picard, I wonder whether I should watch it just to get my own another opinion of it.
Just don't, honestly, just don't.
Star Trek Picard takes away from the character, and so I would only rate him incredible.
Oh,
It's not a Tyrion situation. It's not a Tyrion situation.
Although it might be because of the second season coming out.
Mangan, please say genius so
Oh,
that Neil doesn't explode.
I'm not getting peer pressured.
Because me and Ritson aren't voting.
You horrors.
Oh,
I
thanks
mean-
for speaking for me.
I mean, Neil.
Fine.
Oh, I doubt you've seen Star Trek.
I've watched a few episodes in the past.
Why did
Which
you say
one?
anything then?
Hang
Well, I
on,
don't know.
hang
I
on,
just,
no,
I mean,
no,
there
no.
was never a point to jump in, but I didn't have
Ritson.
too much to say.
Ritson, which one?
Incredible.
What?
What do you mean, which one?
No, I think you were saying which Star Trek episode have you watched?
No, not which Star
No,
Trek.
no.
No, I don't even mean that. I mean
Oh.
which Star Trek show.
The one with Jean-Luc Picard in.
Oh, you are
Right, okay.
chatting. You're chatting so much wham.
Yeah, I think that's Ritson and me ruled out of the vote.
Yeah.
The one with John Luke. Which Harry Potter have you seen? Oh, the one with Harry Potter.
Shut up.
That is shocking. Fine, I'm gonna say genius because I haven't seen Picard.
I just wanted to try and get away with it, but
Yeah,
incredible.
went to see James Bond on the weekend. James Bond was in it.
Shut up.
Oh, what a show with Doctor. Oh no, we won't talk about Doctor Who because that rings true for written. Right, the final one.
We haven't voted. I don't know where we're putting this here.
I
Genius.
said genius. If you listened.
I was laughing. Sorry. No, this is not a laughing matter. This is a very serious man. This last one, and I think I've saved the best till last. And I'm sure you guys will disagree.
Yeah.
But well, I don't know if you can say that because you haven't seen the show.
Is that the one with
Thomas-
Tommy Shelby in it?
Tommy, yeah, Peaky Blinders with Tommy Shelby in it. Is that? Have you seen that episode? The one with Tommy Shelby in it.
Yeah, I think I have.
Good, actually, it's good that one.
Yeah, it's good, really good.
No, but unbelievable character, unbelievably cool, charismatic character. You talk about man crush. I mean, this guy just makes you fall in love with him. Like he just commands so much respect. He's such an aura about him. The delivery of his lines, the Brummie accent that Cillian Murphy puts on is incredible considering he's Irish. Cillian Murphy's an incredible actor already. That's why Christopher Nolan always casts him and everything. But I mean, this is like what he's mainly known for, which says a lot. Like, just an incredible character. I don't know if you guys have seen the show much.
Seen the first season. I've seen the first season, and you're right. He is what makes the show. The chemistry between him and Sam Neill's character, I've completely forgotten his name. The chemistry between him and Sam Neill's character in it is amazing. I really need to see the others. I feel so awful that I haven't yet.
The last season was quite poor, to be fair, but all the other seasons before that, fantastic.
Paddy, I'm gonna be honest with you.
You're gonna break my heart, aren't you?
I don't like Peaky Blinders. My sister's favourite show.
That's why he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Rivalry.
Yeah, I am that bitter against my sister that I will actively just dislike anything that she doesn't like, which is why I'm very happy the fact that she didn't get as good a degree as me as she found out today.
Wow, that's
Wait, what?
behavior.
Sister got a degree result today, and let's just say I'm still the only person in the family to ever get a 2-1.
Wait, how old is your sister's not like finished uni or anything now, has she?
My sister finished uni this year, mate. You've just taken really long to do uni.
Why are we talking about Colin's sister? This weird.
Yeah. So I'll be honest though, I do like Thomas Shelby, but that's it.
But doesn't that say a lot if you don't like the show but you still like the character?
Not really. I still don't like the show, and I don't like anything. It's just he's a character I like on the screen. He's Harvey Specter to me, mate. Likeable.
No, He's so much better than Harvey Specter.
All right then. Shall we get the other two to?
Has Harvey Specter ever killed a man? I don't think so.
I think he has actually.
He might have done, to be honest. I haven't seen the show,
I'm pretty
but
sure.
He put a guy on death row who was innocent. Does that count?
Oh, definitely. That's murder straight away. Get him done.
I don't know about that.
But Neil, have you seen Peaky Blinders?
Nope.
God. And Ritson, have you seen the one with Tommy Shelby in?
No, I've not seen the one with Tommy Shelby. No.
We're not doing Tommy Shelby enough justice. This is incredible. One of the most incredible characters of the last 10 years on British television.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else then.
Paddy, don't worry. You're going to win the vote.
Yeah, you are probably going to win the vote. Actually,
I hope I win the vote.
I'm voting likable. You're voting genius. Mangan, what are you voting for?
I'm voting
for
for
one season you've watched.
Yeah, I'm going for incredible.
Of course you are.
Incredible wins.
Of course you are.
Well,
actually, I've seen one season, so I cannot.
I've actually watched a season, kept it a secret. I'm going to vote likable, so actually likable wins.
All right, you can all go do something that I can't say in a podcast.
No, right. Genuinely, Paddy, incredible wins.
Right, fine. At least it's not likable. Bloody hell. Can't believe Tyrion's so low. Anyway.
Well, that's what you get for bad writing.
Right, that's not his fault. Okay, whatever. Move on.
Right, so that has been the podcast. We've actually blown through them quite quickly, haven't we? For 5 of us. I think we've done pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. There's like Genius and Incredible are quite bolstering with
quite
talent.
quite stacked. I mean, but it was harder to pick the bottom tiers.
I think it is. Yeah, I think
ultimately you don't watch a show if there's a character in it that really is off-putting.
There's a few that I did see that if we did keep sitcoms in would have been a lot easier, but that's the price we pay for keeping it fresh.
Yeah,
for you
true.
guys.
It is hard to find like less likable characters in dramas that you actually like and watch.
But yeah, guys, that's been a great podcast. Does anyone have anything else to say?
Not really.
Like and subscribe.
Watch Star Trek, particularly the one with Jean-Luc Picard in it.
You know what? I'd say watch Star Trek Picard to get the real opinion on Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah.
And Neil would slap the taste out of your mouth.
I mean, honestly,
hey, season 2 is supposed to be coming out end of the year, Neil. Maybe they'll recover from them.
Honestly, you know, the correct answer if you want to watch Star Trek is watch Deep Space Nine because it's the best.
No, the correct answer is to watch Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, there's always one, isn't there? One's on Star Wars, one's on Star Trek, and of course Battlestar gets involved. There's always one.
I mean, let's be honest. I've never watched Battlestar Galactica. Let's just end it here.
Right. Any final words, guys, from you?
Goodbye.
And that's Paddy's quote as he leaves the podcast, actually.
How dare you?
He does the editing and uploading.
After Tommy Shelby wasn't declared genius, he's decided to move part ways.
Yeah, I'm starting my own podcast. The list here.
But remember, guys, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Tier List Podcast. You can get this on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, our sponsors today. Break Podcast and Google Podcasts. This has been the Tier List, and we'll see you in a bit, guys.